Welcome back to Bible in a Year for next Tuesday, which is going to be April 3rd. Have read through the end of Ezekiel, from Ezekiel 25 through the end of Ezekiel. And you're going to get into apocalyptic material for the first time. So what I want to do in this is talk a little bit about apocalyptic material. Now, apocalyptic material believes very strongly in two ages. First, there's the present irrevocably evil age, which we are in, which is under Satan, who opposes the righteous, but whose power God will soon overthrow. And the second age is there's the future age to come. And this is the eternal age, and God is the ruler, the complete ruler of this eternal age, and the righteous are blessed forever in this eternal age. This second age is not some sort of outgrowth, but it is instead a totally new creation. It's not It doesn't just kind of come from things getting better and better and better until we're in it. In fact, things are going, in this present age, are going to get worse and worse and worse until God comes in and intervenes. In this present age, the righteous followers of God are going to be oppressed, and they're going to be persecuted, and they may even be put to death. They may even be killed. Conditions are only going to become worse because this age is irretrievably evil. The righteous are helpless in this age. This is one of the keynotes of apocalyptic literature. Now, there's going to be a huge conflict, and after the conflict, God is going to inaugurate a brand new age that's completely under his control. His righteous followers are going to live under his rule in an eternity of blessedness as reward for being so loyal and faithful to him. The apocalyptic hope is absolutely otherworldly. It's utterly otherworldly. And it's only in the next world that evil is going to disappear. Now, some other features of apocalypticism include visions. A lot of talk about angels and demons, animal symbolism figures, numerology figures. There are some really predicted woes, and the predicted woes include that there are going to be terrestrial, this earthly disasters like earthquakes and things like that. There are also going to be cosmic disturbances like the sun turning black and stars falling. Apocalyptic literature also talks about heavenly books, heavenly cities, heavenly Garden of Eden, a heavenly tree of life. Apocalypticism is very popular when times are very bad because it sees the cosmic drama, the cosmic conflict between good and evil. We will be personal participants in the triumph of good over evil. And so apocalyptic literature is very hopeful. Now, this concept of a transcendent, avengant deity always strengthens and comforts the people of God, teaching as it does that right is finally going to triumph on the last day. Finally, right will triumph over wrong. Apocalyptic is also a corrective to human pride because this new age comes in by the action of God, completely under the control of God. History, no matter how it looks, no matter how bad it gets, is always under the control of God. God is always in charge. There are lots of apocalyptic elements in Ezekiel. Particularly, they start in Ezekiel 37, when the word of God comes to Ezekiel and tells him to prophesy to a bunch of dry bones. These are people who are spread out on a battlefield, and they are dead, and they've been dead a long time, and the only thing that is left of them is bones. And this is how Israel felt. Israel felt like these dead warriors. Well, Ezekiel prophesies to the bones, and the bones come to life in sort of a Steven Spielberg-y kind of way. And God says to Ezekiel, Israel, exiled and defeated Israel, is like these bones. They say they are dried up. They say they have no hope. They say they have no future. Tell them that I will open their graves. I will give them life. I will return them to their land. And then God does. And then Ezekiel 38 is where you're going to run into Gog and Magog. Who are Gog and Magog? Or what nations are Gog and Magog? What nations do they represent? We don't know. Through the centuries, all sorts of nations have been picked. Before the Soviet Union collapsed, there were people who thought it was the Soviet Union. Well, and then the Soviet Union collapsed. Nobody knows what nations Gog and Magog represent. What does matter is that Gog and Magog are defeated. And then the last chapters of Ezekiel, Ezekiel 39 to 48, is that God tells the exiles that he's going to restore them to their own land. And God is completely in control of the process. The temple is measured. God is completely in control of the process. And he's going to restore them to their own land. And he's going to set up the kingdom of David under a descendant of David who is greater than David. And this material is a definite reference to the coming of the Messiah. Those of you who are in my group that gets together every week will talk about this. We'll talk about this in pretty great detail. For the rest of you, I didn't want you to get confused. And I want you to remember, we should probably look that up. Where have I got a Bible? I've got to have a Bible. I do have a Bible. I should have been ready. I do have a Bible. Let's look at what Jesus has to say about the end of the world. Let's look at this in Matthew chapter 10, verses 16 and 17, where Jesus says, I am sending you like lambs into a pack of wolves. So be as wise as snakes and as innocent as doves. Watch out for people who will take you to court and have you beaten in their meeting places. Because of me, you will be dragged before rulers and kings to tell them and the Gentiles about your faith. But when someone arrests you, don't worry about what you will say or how you will say it. At that time, you will be given the words to say, but you will not really be the one speaking. The Spirit from your Father will tell you what to say. Brothers and sisters will betray one another and have each other put to death. Parents will betray their own children, and children will turn against their parents and have them killed. Everyone will hate you because of me. But if you remain faithful until the end, you will be saved. When people mistreat you in one town, hurry to another one. I promise you that before you have gone to all the towns of Israel, the Son of Man will come. Disciples are not better than their teacher, and slaves are not better than their master. It is enough for disciples to be like their teacher, and for slaves to be like their masters. If people call the head of the family Satan, what will they say about the rest of the family? And see, the thing that you are supposed to remember is that Christians are always to be aware of the fact that we are living in the end of time. It's been a long time. It's been 2,000 years. But we are always living in the end of time. And the other thing, the really important thing, if you find yourself trying to figure out who are Gog and Magog. So I want you to remember what Jesus says in Matthew 24, verses 3 to 28. Jesus says this. Later, as Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, his disciples came to him in private and asked, "When will this happen? What will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world?" And Jesus answered, "Don't let anyone fool you. Many will come and claim to be me. They will say that they are the Messiah. They will fool many people. You will soon hear about wars and threats of war, but don't be afraid. These things will have to happen first, but that isn't the end. Nations and kingdoms will go to war against each other. People will starve to death, and in some places there will be earthquakes. But this is just the beginning of troubles. You will be arrested, punished, and even killed. Because of me, you will be hated by people of all nations. Many will give up and will betray and hate each other. Many false prophets will come and fool a lot of people. Evil will spread and cause many people to stop loving others. But if you keep on being faithful right to the end, you will be saved. When the good news about the kingdom has been preached over all the world and told to all the nations, then the end will come." I once saw a bumper sticker, and I liked this a whole lot. The bumper sticker said, "Jesus is coming soon. Look busy." I loved that. And that's where Christians are supposed to be. As we read all this stuff about the end of time that you're going to be reading for the first time, as in this time through the Bible, you're going to be reading it for the first time as we come into Ezekiel. You need to remember that you are a Christian and that no one knows, Jesus told us, when the end will come. No one knows. No one knows. People will say it's going to be December 23rd, but they have no clue. They have no idea. No one knows. Not even, Jesus said, the Son of Man. And if God has not revealed this to the Son of God, how can we think that we're going to come up with timelines and all that? How can we do that? So in the meantime, what we need to do is we need to live as Christians, because the end could come at any time, like a thief in the night. Thank you for your attention, and I will see you soon.